So hey, welcome to my new series, or maybe not so new series, depending how you see it. I already made a few videos like this, but in this new video series I just want to talk about some of my favorite Soulsborne bosses, talk about what makes them great, about their lore, story, presentation, mechanics, and whatever there is. Some of the bosses in the series are absolute highlights, and I want to talk about these because they are very dear to me. And today I want to start with the Bloodborne fan favorite, absolutely beloved boss, Ludwig the Accursed. Before Elden Ring, I felt like this was pretty much everyone's favorite boss, either him or Gale. And I still think he's top tier and holds up insanely well even in the year 2024. I think Ludwig is an absolute masterpiece, and I really want to glaze him because he's just that good. It's still one of my personal favorite bosses in this series, as you can see in my top 20 bosses video, and I really can't praise this boss enough. It's just that good. But with the intro out of the way, we should get into Ludwig and talk about what makes him so great. Before talking about Ludwig's boss fight in-game, I want to start with the story and thematic importances. Ludwig was the hero of the healing church hunters and was pretty much the perfect hunter people aspire to be. However, even Ludwig was terrified of the terrors of the night, which is understandable considering what monstrosities lurk around. But fortunately for Ludwig, he was able to find his guiding moonlight in the old tombs, the Moonlight Greatsword, which gave him the confidence and calmed him in the hunts of the night. This allowed him to be a very successful hunter. But as the tragic world of Bloodborne goes, everyone eventually succumbs to bloodlust or blood drunkenness. And Ludwig is sadly no exception, eventually transforming into the most hideous of beasts. It's a really tragic story that shows that no one is really safe from this accursed blood, not even strong people like Ludwig with even mystical swords. It shows the inescapable nature of this curse and really hammers home the adage, fear the old blood. It's also of course the fallen hero trope Fromsoft loves to do so much, and it's very effective. At the end of Ludwig's story, you can either comfort him before he passes and tell him that his church hunters are the Spartans he hoped they would be, or you can tell him the truth and basically confirm all his self-doubt he ever had and send him into a frenzy. It's a very tragic character, and this final interaction really tells you a lot about this guy. This guy's story is amazing, and it's a very important boss in the Bloodborne story and lore. Well now, how do you face this legendary hunter Ludwig? Ludwig is the first mandatory boss in the Old Hunters DLC, which you get to by being abducted by an amygdala, and you have to find your way through the very dangerous and treacherous Hunter's Nightmare, a dimension created by the Curse of Cause, where hunters are forced to be eternally hunting beasts till the end of their times. And at some point in this dimension, you will come to a huge river of blood. And you might start wondering, where does this river originate? What is the source of this? And as you slowly make your way through the level, killing beasts along the way, you will eventually arrive at the source of it. And it's none other than Ludwig the Accursed himself. The arena where you find Ludwig is just a pit of gore with hundreds of people slaughtered by him and blood everywhere. Ludwig is the most hideous of beasts in the entire game, a completely messed up and grotesque creature fused with a horse, probably still one of my favorite Fromsoft designs of all time. It's absolutely incredible. And the intro cutscene is also fantastic. You don't really want to fight him, you want to run away. He's that terrifying. However, after a very great first phase with great audio design, awesome screeches and screams, Ludwig finally falls. And as he is lying in the pool of blood, he suddenly realizes his guiding moonlight was at his side all along. His sword that once gave him confidence is now lying there, and as he realizes this, he grabs the sword and regains some of his humanity. This is still one of the greatest moments in the series, and probably the best cutscene as well. There are some very awesome phrase transitions like Malikev going to phase 2 or Mesmer going to phase 2, which basically show the restoration of a proud warrior or someone's descent into utter beasthood and oblivion. However, this for Ludwig is quite the reverse. Ludwig really goes from the most grotesque beast to pretty human. He doesn't even look that gross and terrifying in this phase because the way he's walking, the way the moonlight illuminates him, he just doesn't look as threatening anymore. However, he's still a very formidable foe, and it's just one of the sickest looking fights ever. The contrast between the pool of gore and the moonlight slashes is amazing. Of course, I also need to mention the absolute masterpiece that is Ludwig's soundtrack, my second favorite soundtrack in the series, just overtaken this year by one of the sickest pieces of music I've ever heard, but Ludwig's soundtrack is no lesser because of that. It's absolutely amazing. By the way, if you enjoy this content, please be sure to like and subscribe. I would appreciate it a lot, and it helps out the channel massively. But yeah, with that, let's go to the fight. I really think it's impressive how insanely well Ludwig holds up even after all these years. His first phase starts off with one of the greatest beast boss fights in the From Software series. Sure, there have been a lot of great beast bosses after this, but Ludwig's is still one of my favorites. It's absolutely amazing. It has a lot of positioning based extensions, positioning checks, directional dodges, and some awesome delays. Also attacks where you have to run away, like the huge jump he does. Oh yeah, there also are some pretty difficult reaction checks that definitely catch me off a few times. It's a very great first phase. He's super aggressive and requires great reaction time, a super good intro for what's to come. And I think phase 1 is the better phase mechanically, but phase 2 is definitely awesome as well. He turns into more of a humanoid knight type guy with a sword, but he still fights relentlessly. He has some great AoEs, some nice strafes, some nice positioning once again, and some very satisfying to dodge attacks that require a very specific way. Also some very clean reaction checks once again. And every swing just feels so hefty and heavy, and it's just so fun to dodge them, especially because they're moonlight swings as well. He also has some projectiles for range, which also adds another dimension. It's a very fun boss fight with great mechanics, and overall everything about this fight is just very great. In conclusion, I can just say Ludwig is definitely to this day still a masterpiece boss fight and one of my favorite fights in the series, and I don't think he will lose that title anytime soon. He's just incredible. Thank you so much for watching this video where I basically just glazed Ludwig. But I feel like this video was long overdue. Ludwig was for a very long time my favorite boss in the series. He alone got me to buy a PS4 in Bloodborne because he's just that awesome, and he was absolutely worth it. I absolutely adore this boss in every way, and I think it's just incredible and holds up insanely well. Please tell me in the comments what you think about Ludwig and this series in general, and maybe what other bosses you want me to talk about. Some old ones, some new ones, just whatever comes to your mind. I think this is a very interesting series that can lead into some very cool topics and videos. But yeah, I think the next video I'm going to start to work on are my top 10 bosses for 2024 with some restrictions, so it's not just filled with Shadow of the Earth 3. So until then, thank you once again so much for watching, and I will hopefully see you in the next video. Bye!